Hello, Mario. 10 questions about propagandists. Mario's 10 questions about propagandists. I'm not sure if that's the right word. I'll look that up before I do the title. But these are people that known for their propaganda across the airways, typically using the radio. They made regular broadcasts to the troops from the opposing side to try and demoralize them, make them feel down and low and depressed, an attempt to try and get a an advantage on the battlefield. So, question 1, Tokyo Rose was the official nickname given to the Japanese government by the Japanese government to Iva Taguri, who broadcast on Radio Tokyo. Now, I'm certainly familiar with Tokyo Rose. I believe she definitely existed. I've heard of her. Whether these facts about her are totally right, I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with T for true. T for true. Here we go. Tokyo Rose. Okay. What do we know of Tokyo Rose? Got a nice cup of English breakfast tea here. Oh. Tokyo Rose was never an official Japanese nickname. Of course it wasn't. It was invented by American GIs listening to the broadcast. The Japanese called the program 0 Hour and used many female announcers. Iva Takuri, later convicted, was one of at least a dozen women the troops collectively nicknamed Tokyo Rose. Oh, right. A cohort of people. All right, well, no. N for next. All right, so we didn't get that one right. Okay, so here we go. Coming up, question 2. Have another sip of tea to wet the palate. Iva Toguri was the only person ever convicted of treason in the US for being Tokyo Rose. So I believe this is true. I believe this Iva Toguri, who I believe to be a woman, she, her. Yeah, so I'm going to say true on this, although T for true. Iva Toguri. Yes, this is correct. Iva Toguri de Aquino was the only person ever tried and convicted of treason for the Tokyo Rose broadcast, 1949. She served 6 years, was fined $10,000 and stripped of citizenship. In 1977, President Ford granted her a full pardon after evidence showed that she had been coerced and her broadcasts were largely harmless. Well, that would have been great to know after you'd just done 6 years inside, and $10,000 would have been a lot of money in 1949. Interesting name, Iva Toguri de Aquino. That's not a Japanese name. What? A quick bio of Iva. What is known? Yeah, I think that bears further investigation. I mean, what was she doing in Japan? And born in Los Angeles, 100% American citizen, daughter of Japanese immigrants. Oh, went to Japan to visit a sick aunt, got stranded when Pearl Harbor happened, couldn't get home, forced to work at Radio Tokyo, refused at first, was threatened with internment, became one of 12 female English language announcers on the propaganda show 0 Hour. On-air persona, called herself Orphan Anne, never Tokyo Rose, played American records and made sarcastic, homesick banter like, "Hello, you fighting orphans in the Pacific." American GIs loved this thing anyway. She was more entertaining than threatening. Arrested by the US, released for lack of evidence, then rearrested after intense media pressure. Convicted of treason in the most expensive trial in US history, up to that point $750,000, sentenced to 10 years and $10,000 fine. 1956 released early for good behavior after 6 years. Full pardon 1977. Died 2006, aged 90 in Chicago. Finally recognized as a victim of wartime hysteria rather than a traitor. She remains the only American citizen ever convicted of treason for wartime radio broadcasts, and the only one later pardoned. Stands to reason. Back to the quiz. Yes. Oh, nice. Gosh, interesting times. People these days would have had a field day, wouldn't they, with, you know, all sorts of protests. Mildred Gillars. Sounds Australian. Axis Sally, broadcast from Berlin, and once read the name of American POWs on air to demoralize families. Oh, Mildred. Sounds like a real bitch. Mildred from Berlin. All right, Axis Sally. Yes, I think that's true. I think Mildred is real bitch. Oh, skip the selection. Okay. Question 3. What's happening? Something's happening here. Okay. This is true. Mildred, Axis Sally Gillars, regularly read list of captured or killed American soldiers, often with fake details, on her Home Sweet Home program. Oh my God. One infamous broadcast. "Hello, gang. Here are a few names of the boys who won't be coming home." Designed to make families panic. She seems a bit of a bitch. I bet she wouldn't have got let off. Okay, next. Right, propagandists. Mostly during the... Oh, well, no, I think we've got some coming up from Nam, Vietnam. I don't know if we've got any Koreans. William Joyce, Lord Haw Haw, was American born but hanged by Britain for treason after the war. American born but hanged by the British. William Joyce. Bill Joyce. Yes. Okay. I've heard of Lord Haw Haw. I don't know too much about him. Let's say that's true. No point hanging around. Last little bit of tea. Oh, it's taking its time, isn't it? I'm late. I'm later. Hello, welcome, Moz42. Question 4. True. We'll prefer that response. Oh, what the hell? Okay. William Joyce was born in Brooklyn, New York, 1906, to Irish parents. He moved to England as a child, became a fascist, and broadcast Nazi propaganda as Lord Haw Haw. Captured in 1945, he was hanged at Wandsworth Prison on the 3rd of July 1946, the last person executed for treason in the UK. All right. William Joyce. Okay, right. Next question. Question 5. Moz42 has now joined us from far north Queensland, where it's been some interesting weather. The Japanese program 0 Hour was hosted by a single woman who called herself Tokyo Rose. Oh, no, it wasn't. You've told us this previously. This has got to be false. There was 12 single women, all with different names, and none of them were called Tokyo Rose. So that is false by your own hand. Not having none of that. Okay. Yes, no, the earlier questions gave us all the answers to this, and we actually looked up. There was 12 of them, and it was called 0 Hour, and none of them were called Tokyo Rose. That was the name given by the US GIs. Correctness, correct. I prefer this response. Oh, yeah. 0 Hour was hosted by multiple women, at least 12 English-speaking announcers. None of them ever used the name Tokyo Rose. That was purely an American GI nickname for any female voice on Japanese radio. The Japanese called the show 0 Hour, nothing more. Yes. So, we got that from the previous questions, Moz. So. Right, next. Okay. And we actually got it wrong the very first question as well, so it's a bit of a repeat, that one. Charles Cousin, an Australian POW, was forced to write scripts for Tokyo Rose broadcasts and later testified in her defence. Charles Cousins. I think this is true. He wrote the scripts for Tokyo Rose, or 0 Hour as it was known in Japan. So I'm pretty sure this one's going to be T for true. I'll go ahead and do that one, I think. It sort of follows on from some of those others. All right, here we go. It's coming. It's coming. Correct. Major Charles Cousins, Australian Army, captured in Singapore, was coerced into writing 0 Hour scripts. He deliberately made them subtly anti-Japanese and helped Iva Toguri stay non-treasonous. In 1949, he flew to San Francisco and testified for the defense at her trial. One of the key reasons many historians believe she was scapegoated. Okay. All right. Next. I have a new video up. I haven't seen it yet, Moz. No. Yeah, I haven't. No, I haven't seen it yet. I'll have a check it out. Actress Sally famously said on air, "Come home alive, boys, before it's too late." Come home alive, boys, before it's too late. Well, we'll say that's true. I don't know. It doesn't sound like someone trying to demoralize. Maybe it's sort of subtle, isn't it? Access Sally was Mildred, was it? Mildred Gillairs. Correct. Mildred Gillairs, Access Sally, repeatedly used lines like, "Come on home, boys, before it's too late," and "Your president is sending you to die for nothing," on her Home Sweet Home hour. The exact phrasing became one of her 8 treason counts in 1949. Okay. Right. So that was question 7. Next. Some of these ones have been answered pretty much previously. Access Sally is one that we encountered earlier, Mildred Gillairs. She was a German. After the war, the US government pardoned Iva Toguri in 1956, admitting the Tokyo Rose case was a mistake. Yes, that's sort of true from the previous question. So, yeah, I'm going to say that's true. She was coerced into it. The Aussie guy wrote her scripts. Yeah, and she did 6 years. So, yeah, T for true. And she was pardoned by the president. Gerald Ford, I think. Yeah, Gerald Ford. Pardoned her, I think, in 1976. True. Incorrect. Close, but the date is wrong. She was released from prison in 1956, but the full presidential pardon came out in 1977. President Gerald Ford, on his last day in office, after a 60 minutes expose and massive public campaign. Okay. Well, we were never going to get that. So, yeah. Okay. I could have said false, but she was definitely Yeah. So now we have got coming up Seoul City Sue, I think. Seoul City Sue. Seoul City Sue was the North Korean equivalent who broadcast in English during the Korean War. Seoul City Pyongyang. Seoul City Sue. No, I'm going to say true. I guess the North Koreans had to have something. Seoul City Sue. But I don't know that Seoul is in North Korea. I think it's in South Korea. So, oh, maybe the North Korean. Certainly broadcasting to the Americans, I would guess, during the Korean War. North versus South. Yeah. I don't know who actually won that one. I don't think they just agreed to differ, didn't they? Or they split the country in half or something. Oz says false. Yeah, I've got an inkling on that one. I'll see false. I don't know whether it does sound. Correct. Seoul City Sue was actually Anna Wallace Sue, an American missionary's wife who stayed in Seoul after the North Korean invasion in 1950. She broadcast for the North Koreans from Seoul, not Pyongyang, reading propaganda strips in perfect Midwestern English. The nickname came from US troops who heard her on the front lines. Oh. You don't know a lot about the... Yeah. Well, he didn't. The people that had his automatic pen did, didn't they? I think he pardoned everyone in his family just in case. All right, next question. Next question. Ah. I hate it when they do this. All right. Hanoi Hannah was used for a single Vietnamese woman who broadcast propaganda to US troops in Vietnam for over 20 years. I think this is true. Hanoi Hannah. Vietnamese woman who broadcasts propaganda. You got boyfriend? Okay. Hanoi Hannah. I don't know, how do they know she was single? I think that is. Context is everything. All right, let's see what we've got here. Why won't you be true? Okay, coming with the dual responses here. Okay, right. Me love you long time. Yes. Ah. Okay, we'll go for this one. Yes. Okay, this is true. The nickname Hanoi Hannah refers almost exclusively to Trentino, died in 2016, who broadcast English language propaganda on Voice of Vietnam from 1965 to the fall of Saigon in 1975 and continued into the 1990s. She was the main and most famous voice, though a few others occasionally filled in. Well, you nailed the myth of single Tokyo Rose, Axis Sally, Lord Haw Haw, Charles Cousins, Soul City Sue, Hanoi Hannah, and the pardon date was wrong, and the skull scamp forgeries that was there. Anyway, very good. This has been Mario's 10 questions about propagandists.